Revolution, it is the small part of a world history. It has done on a 14 July 1789. And on this particular day, the Bastille Fort was stormed through the revolutionaries. Why? Because the people of France, they didn't like the policy of their monarch. They want fair and share policy. And this day, 14 July, 14, even today, every year of a 14 July, it is celebrated as a national day of France. It is also known as a Bastille Day. 14 July, it is also known as a Bastille Day because on this day, Bastille Fort was stormed. So, our story, a small introduction regarding this on 14 July 1789, on the morning of 14 July 1789, in the city of Paris, stated an alarm. What alarm is stated? The king commanded his army troop to go inside the city and open fire on the citizens. And here in this approx 7,000 men and women, they all gathered in front of a town hall. And what they start to do? They destroy the government buildings. And suddenly what had happened? Suddenly several thousands of people, they marched towards the eastern city of Paris. And they went inside the Bastille Fort where they hoped to find the hoarded ammunition. And with the arm fight, the Bastille commander was killed, and they released a prisoner. At that time, there were 7 prisoners over there. Yet the Bastille was hated by all. Why? Because it was the despotic power of a king. Despotic power in the sense unlimited power. King was using his power as an unlimited way against their subject. He only think about themselves. He didn't have a care. He didn't have a care to their subject. And this particular day, this day after followed a more rioting. After this day, it followed a more rioting both either in city and countryside. Why rioting was happening all over the country, either in urban and rural area? Why? Because the people were protesting against the food security, against the high price of bread. Now our story, this is the main introduction. Now our story will start from here. See, our first point is a French society during late 18th century. 18th century, at that time, 18th century, how was the French society? It was followed the old rhythm of a French. On 1774, Louis XVI, he came to the power of France. He was a Bourbon family, and he was a 20-year-old when he got married with an Austrian princess. Her name is Marie Antoinette. Upon his accession of France, he got an empty treasure. Why? Because of a long war. Long war drained the financial resources of France. And added to this, the cost of maintaining extravagant court of immense palace of Versailles. See, under Louis XVI, France helped the 13 American colonies to gain their independence with their common enemy, Britain. Yes, Britain was the common enemy. Britain was the common enemy of France and America. And cause of this war, France went inside the billions of livres. And at that time, the local lender of the France, who gave a state credit, they began the charges of their loan, at least 10%. And the government of France spent to increasing payment of its budget on investment payment alone. Now, to meet their regular expenses, what France do? What kind of his regular expenses to maintain their army, okay, their court and government buildings, university, etc. So state was forced to increase the taxes. This all the reason why king was king was unwilling, why king was compelled to increase the taxes. Now will I let you know the 18th century. How was the 18th century in France? In 18th century, France was divided into the three state of society. What are three state? These. This is the three state of a society in a France. This is the first stage. This is the second and the third state. In first state, there is a clergy, and in second there is a noble, and in third state it was also divided into three: middle, upper middle, and lower middle. Right? Actually, it was following as a feudal system. Feudal system is also known as a bounded labor, which was a part of a French society. The French society was divided into three states: first, second, and third. And in third state, first we talk about the third state. Peasant about 90%. Peasant about 90%. About 90%. They had a very less land to cultivate, and 60% here. 60% of a land owned of the noble, the church, and the richest member of the third state. See, the first and second state, these two states, the first and second state, the first and second state, they both were enjoyed certain privileges by birth. And what these certain privileges? The most important of these were exemptions of the paying taxes. They are out of to pay taxes. They are out of pay taxes. Out of to pay taxes. Who were paying taxes? Only this class was paying taxes. The noble further enjoy feudal privileges. The noble further enjoy feudal privileges, and these feudal dues are to extracted the taxes with the third class. The taxes was imposed through these by these two persons, by these two state imposed the taxes on this in third state, the third member of a state, third society of a state. And now what will happen? Peasants were obliged to do render service on the nobles to their owner. What kind of service they are giving? Like they do household service, okay, they work in their field, and they work if there is any construction, either in roadside, their construction in a building, they work in an army. So these all the work they are they are willingly or unwillingly they are doing these kinds of work. Why? Because they are imposed, they were imposed to pay taxes to them. And how they pay? So to run their family, to run the expenses of their family, to livelihood of them and their family, they'll have to do earn money. And from where they earn money, these all the things from where they earn money. Now the church, we talk about the church. Church church too extracted its share of its taxes. Churches imposed the taxes. The church was taking the taxes through the third class, with the third class that is called tithes. Tithes. Okay, right? Church was to extracted its share of the taxes, which is called tithes. And what is tithes? Tithes is the 10% of agriculture produce. Tithes, it is the 10% of agriculture produce. Okay, and This is the tethys which was taken by the church with the peasants, and there is a tail and there is a tie. This is the direct taxes what they have to win to them, to clergy. And indirect taxes. Indirect taxes. This is indirect taxes which is levied on articles everyday consumption. Levied on article everyday's consumptions like salt and tobacco. And the salt and tobacco. So the burden of financing activities, the burden of financing activities of the state through taxes by born the third state, born by the third state alone. Okay, so our next point is struggle to survive. This is our first point, and the next point for 1.1, struggle to survive. Substance crisis. What is a substance crisis? See, population was rose from 1714 to 1714 to 1789. Sorry, 1715. Here population was 23 million, which increased 28 million in 74 years. How much population increased? 5 million. Okay. The population was increased. Now what will happen if population will increase? This led to a rapid increase in the demand for food grain. Rapid increase. If population will increase, population will increase, it increase the rapid demand. Rapid demand will increase, it increase rapid demand. Rapid demand. Right? But what will happen? Population increase, rapid demand increase, demand of demand of food rapidly increase. Okay, demand of food rapidly increase, but production of grain could not keep pace the demand. Demand was increasing, but production of grain could not keep pace with the demand. And the high price of a bread, which is staple diet. High price of a bread, high price of bread, which is staple diet of majority. Okay, staple diet. What is the staple diet? Bread. And what is the staple diet? A staple diet is a very basic diet which we need to our regular life. There is a huge difference between a balanced diet and staple diet. While you talk about a balanced diet, in balanced diet there is a lot of the thing you will have to add in your day-to-day food, either sprouted grains, okay, and dairy products, fruits, nuts. These all the things come in a balanced diet. But once we talk about a staple diet means just wheat flour, wheat flour and potato, corn, pulses. Only this is the staple diet. Rice. Okay, this is the staple diet. This is the very basic food we need to just fill our belly to quench our hunger. Okay, so people are not able to fulfill their staple diet, and the high price of a bread, which is the staple diet of a majority, their price was rose. And what will happen if their price was rose? Now the worker who they were employed as a laborer, they were employed as a laborer were in the bakery shop, and in a bakery shop, and what they were doing, they were giving a very less wages to them. So they were the worker were being paid very less wage to their work. And now what will happen? Now they are not able to keep pace of the rice price. Just because of that a low amount, just because of the amount what they were paid through their to their owner, that was not sufficient through which they can fulfill their all expenses. They cannot run their livelihood. And sometimes condition become more worse, situations become more worse. How situation become more worse? Severe winter, severe winter, okay, hail and drought. Cause of this thing, harvest become bad. Cause of this thing, the harvest become bad harvesting, and these things lead to the substance crisis. What is a substance crisis? Substance crisis, what these things lead to the substances crisis. What is a substances crisis? A situation where people were not able to meet their regular basic need. What's a basic regular need of a people? Of course, food, shelter, and clothes. And why they are unable to meet meet these needs? Because of a lacking of a resources. So this was the struggle of a survive. This was the struggle they were doing to survive their life. Now, how substances crisis occur? Okay.